You know, we've all seen it, right? A marriage that just seems picture perfect, overflowing with joy and blessings. But what happens when that happiness suddenly feels, well, fragile? In this explainer, we're going to dive into the Islamic concept of spiritual protection to really understand how couples can build a kind of fortress around their relationship, especially against those unseen challenges.
So let's just start with the big question, the one that so many of us have probably wondered about at some point. You see a couple, they are so happy, everything looks amazing, and then seemingly out of the blue, things get really tough. Why does that happen? And that question leads us straight here, to that really unsettling feeling when the very things you cherish in your marriage suddenly feel like they could break at any moment. I mean, think about it. The wedding was incredible, the honeymoon was a dream, but then, not long after, these weird arguments start popping up over nothing. Or there are misunderstandings about the smallest things, creating this sense of distance that just wasn't there before. It's a really confusing and honestly a pretty painful thing to go through.
So, what's a potential explanation for this, according to the sources we're looking at? Well, it all centers on this core concept in Islamic tradition called Ayn. You've probably heard it translated as the evil eye. So, Ayn, the evil eye, is basically the belief that a look from someone else, and it doesn't even have to be malicious, it could come from envy, jealousy, or even just pure, unguarded admiration, can potentially bring harm to the person or the thing being looked at. In this case, a happy marriage.
And listen, this isn't just some minor cultural idea. It's considered a very real thing. This is a direct statement from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it's recorded in the most authenticated sources. That tells you just how seriously this concept is taken. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because there's an immediate balance to that idea. The absolute core belief is that while the evil eye is real, it has zero power on its own. Nothing, good or bad, is believed to happen without God's permission. And this is so crucial because it completely shifts the focus away from a fear of other people and toward a deep trust in divine protection.
Okay, so if protection is the name of the game, how do you actually build it? Well, our sources lay out a kind of spiritual shield, 4 really practical steps for safeguarding your blessings.
These 4 steps are daily remembrance, which is known as adhkar, making specific prayers for protection, or dua, maintaining a level of privacy, and the practice of saying MashaAllah. All right, let's break each of these down. First up, daily remembrance. The sources point specifically to reciting the last 2 chapters of the Quran, Al-Falaq and An-Nas. People often call them the 2 protectors, because the verses are basically a direct appeal to God for refuge from darkness, envy, and all kinds of unseen harm. They're like a cornerstone of your daily spiritual defense.
Step 2 is all about actively asking God for protection through what's called dua, or supplication. A really powerful example is a prayer that starts with, "In the name of Allah, with whose name nothing on earth or in the heavens can cause harm." It's just a profound declaration of where you're placing your trust. The third step is super practical, and it's really rooted in just understanding human nature. The advice here is to maintain a certain level of privacy about your marriage, your happiness, your blessings. It's not about hiding your joy, not at all. It's more about being discreet to shield it from the potential envy of others. And that brings us to step 4. When you see something beautiful or blessed, whether it's your own or someone else's, the practice is to say MashaAllah, which means what God has willed. This quote from the Quran really drives home its importance because it immediately redirects any admiration back to God, the true source of all blessings, and that act is believed to neutralize any potential envy.
Okay, so we've covered the concept of Ayn and the steps to protect yourself. But now, it's really important that we put all of this in perspective. This is where we need to zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture of challenges in life.
And this is a super important point. You don't want to just jump to one conclusion for every single problem you face. The sources actually encourage a moment of self-reflection. Is this challenge really from an external source like Ayn, or could it be something else entirely? Yeah, the source material is very clear that not every argument or rough patch is because of the evil eye. Sometimes, life's difficulties are seen as a test of your faith, a test of your patience. They can even be an incredible opportunity for a couple to learn, to communicate better, and to grow stronger together. Or, hey, maybe they're just a gentle reminder to turn back to God and strengthen that spiritual connection. Which brings us to the final, and honestly the most important question of all. If it's not just about reciting certain verses or being private, what is the ultimate, the truly unshakable form of protection?
And the answer is pretty profound. All of those steps, all those practices, they're basically tools. But the true fortress,
the ultimate shield, is believed to be a deep, sincere, and strong relationship with God. That connection is seen as the source of all real security.
So, what's the big takeaway here? According to the sources, the real formula for protecting a marriage is this powerful combination: consistent prayer, a whole lot of patience, and a rock-solid foundation of faith. The belief is that when you have these things working together, God places barakah, a special kind of divine blessing that brings growth and peace right into the heart of your relationship.